So we are picking up Emeres Hashem on Samach Gimel Amud Beis, and at 63b, at the two dots, Pasach Reb Nechemia B'chvod Achsanya, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines up from the bottom. Pasach Reb Nechemia B'chvod Achsanya V'darash. So remember again, we are continuing. The Gemara was talking about the different teachings which were given over in Kerem B'Yavne, in the vineyard in Yavne, which was one of the places where in Yavne, which was where the Sanhedrin relocated to. So Rabbi Nechemia began his shir by talking about derech eretz covered to his hosts. What's the meaning of the pasuk that says V'emer shala alkeni l'chusuru redumi toch hameliki penosivcha imo va'ato v'asiso chesem kol b'nei Yisrael. So remember again, King Shaul is getting ready to go ahead and do war with Amalek. And so he says to the Keni, that you have to go ahead and move away from Amalek, lest you get caught up in the war effort against Amalek. So remember again, the Keni are descendants from Yisro. So ultimately, again, Shaul expresses his hakaras hatov to Yisro by telling the descendants of Yisro to get out of harm's way. So the Gemara says, "V'halo dram kavachomer ma Yisro shelo karav es Moshe elachvod atzmo." So now, what do you see from here? You see that ultimately, again, Yisro, who went ahead and treated Moshe Rabbeinu favorably. Now, literally brought him close. Why did he bring him close? For his own covet. Meaning what? That Yisro wanted to marry off his daughter, and then ultimately, again, he sees who Moshe Rabbeinu is. So he treated Moshe Rabbeinu well, lav dafka for Moshe Rabbeinu, but for Yisro. So Yisro, who acted in a self-serving fashion, but happened to benefit Moshe Rabbeinu, and that manifests itself by the fact that Shaul saves Yisro's descendants, the Keni, from Amalek, or I should say from being destroyed together with Amalek. So to Kach HaMa'areach Tamid Chacham B'soch Beiso U'Ma'achilo Mashkeo Mahaneo Minachas V'Alachas Kama V'Kama. All the more so that if one goes ahead and hosts a Tamid Chacham in his house and gives him to eat and gives him to drink and allows him to benefit from his property, all the more so. In other words, even though I'm going ahead and maybe I'm giving all this to a Tamid Chacham for my own covet, right? I want to be a person who hosts Talmidei Chacham. I want to be a person who supports Torah. So I'm doing it outside my own covet. But nevertheless, we see that even when you do something for your own covet, it has a positive effect. Incredible. Rabbi Yossi began also by talking about the covet of his hosts in Yavne, and he said as follows: Lo tisoiv adomi ki achichohu, lo tisoiv mitzri ki ger hayisa barto. The Torah says, do not go ahead and mistreat an Adomi, a descendant of Esau, because he is your brother, and do not go ahead and afflict a Mitzri, because you are a stranger in his land. So the Gemara says, "V'alod varim kavachomer, uma Mitzrim shelo kirba Yisrael tzorech atzmon shene'emar v'miyadata v'yishbam anshei chayil v'samtem srei mikneh al asher li." So remember again, the Mitzrim is true. The Mitzrim went ahead and they gave us a place to stay. Now understand that in the beginning, this is before servitude, the Egyptians were willing to extend their hospitality, but remember, they also utilized the Jewish skills for their own benefits as soldiers, as shepherds. So again, so it's true the Mitzrim gave us hospitality, but it was for their own benefit. And yet, again, even though it was self-serving benefit, but yet, again, we are prohibited from mistreating the Mitzri. Ultimately, again, so all the more so one who goes ahead, and same thing we said before, takes care of a Talmid Chacham, gives him to eat, gives him to drink, gives him a place to stay, allows him to share in his possessions, certainly will receive brachas on. Now remember again, because all of the Rabbanim are being housed in Yavne by people after the Sanhedrin relocated, so they're extolling, they're telling the people that the chesed, the haknasas orchim that you are extending to us will be of incredible benefit to you. Pasach Rabbi Eliezer b'nosh Rabbi Yosef Lili b'chvod achsanya v'darash. So again, all of these Gemaras kind of begin in the same way. So here, Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Yosef Lili, also goes ahead and begins to go ahead and speak about the covet of his host. How so? So the Gemara says as follows: Vayivarach Hashem es Oved Edom ba'avur Aron Elokim. So Baruch Hu blessed Oved Edom. That was the name of a guy, right? Because Oved Edom kept the Aron in his home. This is right in the days of David HaMelech. So there was this period of time where Oved Edom went ahead and kept the Aron safe. Now again, and Oved Edom was blessed. He was blessed for that. Aron shelo achal v'shal shasa eleki beid vrives lefanov. So listen to this. Now, obviously, when Oved Edom housed the Aron didn't require upkeep, right? They didn't have to feed it, they didn't have to drink it, they just had to keep the space clean. And yet, again, Oved Edom was rewarded for his hospitality. One who hosts the Talmid Chacham in his home, and he does give him to eat, he does give him to drink, and he allows him to benefit from his property. All the more so, he will receive berachot. It's beautiful. So the Gemara says, "Maihi bracha sheberchu." By the way, what is the bracha that Oved Edom got for housing and taking care of the Aron? Amram Yehuda bar Zvida, zu chamos ushmona kaloseha. So ultimately, again, so the Gemara says, "Sheyoldu shisha bekerem echad." So this refers ultimately again to zu chamos ushmona kalaseh. This refers ultimately again to a mother-in-law and her 8 daughters-in-law. Sheyaldu shisha mekares echad. So again, it's actually a reference to Oved Edom's wife and his daughters-in-law, who Baruch Hashem gave birth to 6 children with each birth, 6 sons with each birth. Shene Amar, Bosai Samech Dalad Amud Aleph, last Amud of the Masechta, 64a. Shene Amar, Pu'alti Hashmini Ki Berchu Elokim, Kol Eila Mibnei Oved Edom Hema Ubnei V'Acheim Anshe Ish Chayil B'Koach La'avod Shishim U'Shnayim La'Oved Edom. Okay, so the Gemara goes ahead and brings this as a raya. Point over here is that Oved Edom and his wife and his daughters-in-law were blessed with multiple births, and that bracha was attributed to the fact that they housed the Aron. Amar Rabbi Avin Halevi, Kol Adochei Kasasha, Shadoch Kaso. So this is a beautiful, beautiful Gemara. So literally, again, whoever forces the moment pushes back. But whoever yields right before the moment, Shah nidches mipanav. So the moment yields for him. So Rabbi says, so this is a really incredible Gemara. We know this just from our own life experience, that in life, it's not only about doing the right thing, but it's about doing the right thing in the right time. And there is often this very delicate dance between pushing for something to occur, versus recognizing that maybe it's not yet the right time for this particular thing to occur. So the Gemara literally says, if you push the time, right? If you push the moment, you push the Shah, and it's not the right time, so the moment will push back on you. But on the other hand, if you kind of like yield in front of the moment, so the moment will yield for you. So the Gemara says, where do we get this from? Midraba v'Rav Yosef. So again, this is based on the story of Rabbi and Rav Yosef. What happened? The Rav Yosef Sinai, the Rabbi Oker Harim. So we'll see incredible Gemara. So Rabbi and Rav Yosef were both great Talmidei Chachamim, but had very different types of knowledge. Rav Yosef was what's called a Sinai. A Sinai is like a person of like an encyclopedic mind. He has all the knowledge, but doesn't necessarily have wasn't the intellectual analysis type. On the other hand, Rabbi was an Oker Harim, literally an uprooter of mountains, which means he had a keen and insightful intellect. So the Gemara says, it's Tricha Luhu Shaita. So what happened? So they needed a new Rosh Yeshiva. Shalchu lahasam. So ultimately, again, so the Rabbanim in Babel sent a message to the Rabbanim in Eretz Yisrael. Sinai v'Oker Harim ezem em kodem. Right? If there's a choice between a Sinai and an Oker Harim, who should you choose? Right? So we need one Rosh Yeshiva. Who should we choose? Should we choose the person with the voluminous amount of knowledge, or should we choose the person with the insightful analytical insights, analytical skills? Shalchu lahu Sinai kodem shachal tzarich lemar chitaya. Sinai is more important. Why? Because everyone needs, literally translated, the master of wheat, which that means is, in other words, the one who is the repository of knowledge, he's the greater source of knowledge. In other words, keen intellect and intellectual analysis is great, but if you have nothing to analyze, then ultimately it's a bracha levatal, it's for nothing. So the Maisa, really, a Sinai is most important. Afal pikein lo kibel alav Rav Yosef, the Amrilei, so listen to this. Rav Yosef, so remember, Rav Yosef was the Sinai, so they offered the position to Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef didn't accept it. Why? The Amrilei kaldoi, because Rabbi Yosef had been told by astrologers, Malachta Tartin Shnin. Ultimately, again, you're only going to go ahead. They told him that there was like a prophecy, like they saw somehow in the astrological signs, they saw that he was going to be Rosh Yeshiva for 2 years and then he was going to die. So he didn't want to accept the position because he recognized that he would have it for a very short amount of time and then he would die. So what did he do? He defers to Rabbah. Malach Rabbah Esrin of Tartin Shnin. So Rabbah became Rosh Yeshiva for 22 years. Then Rabbah died. After that, Malach Rav Yosef Tartin Shnei Palga. So after that, Rav Yosef held the position for 2.5 years. So the idea is, Rav Yosef ultimately again became the Rosh Yeshiva, but Lamaisa only after Rabban. He added on 20 years to his life. So the Gemara says, Kol Hanach Shani de Malach Rabba. All the years that Rabbah was the Rosh Yeshiva, Afilu Umana Lebeise Lokara. Ultimately, again, this is incredible. He would not go ahead and even allow a blood letter to come to his home. Now, what does that mean? So apparently, if you weren't so chashiv, you go to the blood letter. If you're very chashiv, the blood letter comes to you. So all the years that the Rabbi was the Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Yosef did not allow himself any of the trappings of leadership. He just did not want to in any way impugn upon Rabbah's position. And again, he felt it wasn't yet the right time. Incredible. So we'll do one more. Rabbi Avan Alevi. Rabbi Avan Alevi said as follows. What's the meaning of the pasuk? Yancha Hashem b'yom tzara, Yisagev Hashem Elohei Yaakov. What's the meaning of the pasuk ultimately that says that literally Hashem will answer you in your day of need? Yisagev Hashem Elokei Yaakov. The name of Hashem will give you strength. What does this mean? Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Avram Yitzchak. Why is it called the God of Yaakov, not the God of Avram and Yitzchak? Mikan lebala korah sheikonis ba'avya shel korah. What do you see from here? That when people are carrying a beam together, the person who owns the beam has to shoulder the heaviest part of the beam. So this is incredible. So too again, Yaakov Avinu, who is responsible for the Shvatim, ultimately, again, he shoulders, so to speak, the responsibility of Klal Yisrael even more than Avram and Yitzchak. Quite incredible. One more piece. So Rabbi Avan Alevi, whoever goes ahead and benefits from a meal that a Talmud Chacham is part of. So the Gemara says, Kilu nenem miziv hashchina. It's as if he benefits from the Shechina itself. Shnei Mar vayavu Aaron v'chol ziknei Yisrael lechol lechem im chosein Moshe lifnei Elokim. That Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat bread with Moshe, or I should say, with Yisro, the father-in-law of Moshe, before Hashem. So I don't understand. They ate before God. They're coming to eat with Moshe Rabbeinu. What does it come to teach you? So what do you see from here? That halacha l'maisa, whoever goes ahead and benefits from a su'udah that a Talmud Chacham is partaking of, it's as if he's gone ahead and benefit from the actual Shechina itself. All right, we'll stop over here for today. We'll do one more. I'm going to try to record the last segment of the Masechta Miras Hashem before Shabbos, and then we'll go into Shabbos having completed Maseches Berachos. Shkayach, everyone.